Welcome into the 615 Sessions podcast on this Thursday afternoon. Chill vibes as we join you for another episode. We're very happy to have an improved camera situation from Joe Rexroad of The Athletic. You look clear. I don't know if that's a good thing, but you look more clear than any other time that we've done this at this stage. Have you upgraded your equipment?
Whatsoever. Maybe I accidentally wiped it. I mean, I don't know. No,
have I just been looking at you through a camera filled with spittle for the last 3-4 years we've been doing this podcast?
That could be. Is it possible? Like, does the Botox you're injecting yourself, does that improve your eyesight? I don't know. Does it give you superpowers? You tell me about the Botox.
It does give me superpowers because now I can be angry and you'll never know because my forehead does not move. I have tried actively to scowl the way that I used to, and all it does is like it's smooth as a baby's butt. We're good there. The Botox,
God, you're right.
It's brilliant. It works. Look how good I look. Look how good I look on camera, Rexroad.
You look like a wax, like you're in Madame Tussauds wax museum. The Buck Rising exhibit. God, it's freaking me out.
Nothing would be more me than having a wax statue built to myself in ways that nobody else would understand. But yes, indeed. We can talk about Botox. We've got plenty of time to do so. The Titans have a preseason game. Joe and I are both going to be in Chicago, and we're looking forward to seeing how the quarterback situation, I assume, plays itself out. I have to remind you that the podcast is made possible by the wonderful folks at Relax the Back. Hashtag We've Got Your Back Nashville. I'm sure Joe has back issues. Joe should get a standing desk or a new mattress from Relax the Back. The podcast is also brought to you by Two Rivers Ford. DeAndre Hopkins, the latest member of the Two Rivers Ford team. Two Rivers Ford, quality American-made Ford vehicles, award-winning customer service. TwoRiversFord.com is where you go. So, Rex, you and I have been watching practice together for a considerable amount of time throughout the course of our careers at this point. Training camp this year is, at least it carries a little more intrigue for me. We've always known who the starting quarterback is coming into a Titans training camp. It feels like since you and I have been here, at least. This year is the same, but the competition behind the starter is as interesting as any quarterback situation not named San Francisco. Am I wrong there?
Yeah, I think you're right. I mean, I hadn't thought about it in terms of the whole league, but nothing comes to mind. And I agree. I would say that there have been, in terms of the Titans, recent history. Well, I mean, some people remember now. Diana Rossini did throw out the Ryan Tannehill starting quarterback potential 4 years ago, which was premature, but was still based on some optimism about Tannehill and doubts about Mariota, which, of course, ended up materializing eventually in that season. But
well, it was never about that. It was about people like Ben Albright saying that, that the starting quarterback situation was up in the air, when at that point it was very much not up in the air, whether right, wrong, or indifferent, like John Robinson was going to ride it out with Mariota until the wheels fell off.
Right. So that was still, you're talking about an accomplished quarterback in a camp with Mariota. So at least, it was very interesting to watch them on a daily basis. But yeah, look, I think this is both the Titans' desperate need for a better QB2 situation this year than last year, and also potentially a preview of 2024. I mean, to me, it makes sense to carry three and also to think of next year as Levis and Willis and possibly competition. Who knows? By then, maybe Levis has distanced himself, has passed and distanced himself from Willis. But at this point, it is very interesting. And these preseason games, actually, between that and the kicker situation, and also for me, Buck, the offensive line that I think should play as much as possible, and I don't know that they will. I mean, those three things make these preseason games worthwhile.
That offensive line, Joe, is bad. It's just objectively bad.
Yeah, it's I think obviously there's so much more focus. I've watched so much more, probably even like left tackle than right tackle, but the tackles, the interior guys. When I've watched the interior guys, I think when you've seen pockets form, and again, for people who don't know, it's like Tannehill, ones versus ones is really when you see the difference. When twos and threes are out there, it's not the same thing. But ones, this very good defense that we know is very good pass rusher, than this offensive line. And it's on the outside to me that the issue is. I think the interior has held up okay. I mean, look, Simmons has given Brunskill a problem, but okay, you can live with that. but it's the tackles and it's Dillard. I think it's going to be better than Dennis Daly, but at this point, I don't think I could commit to saying much more than that.
No, and I think that's something that most Titans fans need to kind of come to terms with at this stage. We're doing a radio show up there on the terrace that they've got on top of the practice facility, and I left your colleagues. By the way, Joe Rex Road, Robbie and Rex Road, except it's Rex Road and Koharski, 6 to 9 a.m. as of late, while Robbie is on paternity leave. Congratulations to Robbie and the family on the newest Stanley edition. But 102.5 The Game, I left your colleagues from 102.5 down below in the rain, and then I went up and had Kirby set up for me on the terrace so I wouldn't melt. So my Botox,
that's sweet, wouldn't
melt away. Well, people think
that's typical softness from you.
I'm soft, but you know who I also think might be soft is Andre Dillard. Like,
wow, way to bring that into a segue. Yeah, well, it's soft. That's quite a accusation. He just,
soft
to me,
in terms of like, people made jokes about Jamarco Jones, them needing a little bit of that, right? That attitude, that kick in the ass type of, it's just for him. He can't be committing crackback blocks in practice on practice squad linebackers for fun. Like, that can't happen. Or slapping his teammates after the whistle. Like, that's not something that can exist. But, soft is not, maybe that is too extreme, but there is not that intensity.
He doesn't have an edge.
He does not have an edge. Edge is so if he doesn't have an edge, then by nature of not having edges, then I'm not going to call him round. I'm going to call him soft, right? I just don't think that group. It is a second string offensive line on a first string offense, and you're going to have to deal with that probably throughout the course of the year. And I think it's just ridiculous to think that they were going to have all the solutions to this in one offseason. Skoronski looks great. Beyond that, I don't know.
Yeah, I think Skoronski is going to be a very good player. I think that at some point here, and it's got to be soon if it's going to happen, I think the idea of looking at him at tackle I don't think should be dismissed. I don't think it is dismissed as a possibility. I actually think Brewer at center, that's certainly his best position. And I think there's some upside there. Like, it's still, but again, you're still talking like Ben Jones, when healthy. Certainly that's a downgrade, right? The only thing that you've upgraded left guard for sure from Brewer to him. Right guard, it's a downgrade. Right tackle right now is a downgrade. Now, obviously, you hope that if you're the Titans, Petit Frere comes back and has taken a big step. He's getting some reps now in camp. Again, to me, it's like left tackle. You're right, Buck. Like, is it realistic to think in one offseason you're going to fix it? To fix it to the extent of you go to like a good offensive line? No. But it was so much about Dillard, right? And Dillard, TD's been talking about Dillard as the possible replacement for Lewan for like 2 years. Mm-hmm. And it was always going to be this thing of like, okay, so this guy's worked for one of the best O-line coaches in football. By the way, a guy I covered in college football is an amazing guy, Jeff Stoutland. He's on this loaded roster. He got passed over by a great player. So maybe it's just a case of, hey, just give him an opportunity. I think we're seeing that with Azeez Al-Shaair on the other side of the ball, right?
Yeah.
When he played, he looked good with the Niners, but he wasn't a full-time starter. He looks like a starter to me. Looks like give him an opportunity. That roster's loaded. But right now, Dillard just looks like right now it's not going to be what they hoped.
Yeah, but realistically, like if you caught Rand Carthon or Vrabel in an honest moment, would they say Dillard is what we hoped at left tackle? Like, the deal, if it worked out, phenomenal for a starting left tackle. What was it? 3 years, 29. Like, that's value on top of value if he pans out. Now, right, they can get out from under it with relative ease. It was always going to be a flyer type of situation, and I don't want to call it high reward, low risk, because the 35-year-old quarterback coming off of a high ankle sprain and surgery this offseason, like, that's not something that I don't think that I'm going to see a better version of Ryan Tannehill this year than I have in the past couple of years, right? Like, I don't think we're going to see Ryan Tannehill 2020 just because he's got somebody else other than Dennis Daly protecting his blind side.
No, but the point, Buck, is that this year, though, is what it's a flyer year, but also this is the last year, probably, right? So, like, you need it to work this year, because next year, who knows?
You're chasing offensive line again. again,
Sure.
for 3 years now. They've been trying to figure out the fix on this, and there's all different manner of reasons why that's the case, and we don't have to relitigate the whole John Robinson thing, but like they have been chasing that unit for a particular point of time. And listen, a lot of teams in a lot of different markets are bitching about their offensive line today. Like there's not 32, there's probably not 20 good offensive lines in football, much less 32.
There might be 10 that feel good about it right now.
Right. So that's like, I don't want to fan flames unnecessarily just because we're out there every day. But like, Joe, I need to see them win or be the more competitive unit one time in practice for me to have a degree of confidence. And I can objectively say through today, 9 open practices?
10 now.
10 open practices. And you may correct me if you think I'm wrong. I don't think that I have seen a practice in which they as an offensive line group have been the more competitive unit. I understand the Titans front should be good in 2023. I also need to see the offensive line at least look competitive.
Yeah, and I think, one, it's also, again, very good players who have played together on defense, and now the additions look good too.
And the scheme is the same, and the play caller is the same.
Yeah, but also I do think it maybe gets exaggerated because those guys are so animated, so competitive, so ferocious, right? And there is a that's the thing with Lawan. And I still think, based on the reaction of way too many Titans fans over the last few years, too many Titans fans don't understand how good he was.
Yeah.
But beyond that, I don't think appreciate. Like, he did bring that edge that he'll talk trash to whoever, right? I mean, he's gonna, and sometimes he might do something goofy and cost you in some way. Although that was more early in his career, but that guy brought an edge, and I mean, even like a Saffold had this physicality about him. And then you think about, the swagger those guys had, probably underrated. And I agree with you. When you look at these guys now, it's not just that they're getting beat, but it's kind of like they're meekly taking their beating, every day. And look, the optimistic Titans fans going to say, well, that's the defense is just that salty. Every other offensive line, get ready for the same thing this year. And look, I think they're going to be good, but it's you gotta. I agree with you. You gotta, and that's the funny thing. You mentioned Jamarco Jones earlier. I mean, look, if Jamarco Jones he was already, to me, losing reps to Chris Hubbard before that stuff started to happen. So it kind of tells you like he just wasn't a valuable player. But I mean, some of what he did, maybe there's some place for that. Not dirtiness, but just some kind of nastiness here or there. They need a little bit of that.
They're meek. An offensive line closer to meek than they are nasty is not a winning formula, one would think at this stage. But back, so we'll see what happens with the offensive line. Terrell Williams, obviously, and Mike Vrabel not giving us much of anything this morning for the head coach who will not be the head coach for this preseason game, and the acting head coach who will, I don't know if that is a situation that will continue in the preseason. I imagine it's kind of a wait and see what Saturday looks like type of deal. But the quarterbacks will obviously be, I think, the focal point for the vast majority of Titans fans. It'll be the first opportunity that the fan base writ large can see a lot of what we've been talking about or writing about or tweeting about, all these things, and we'll have the opportunity to react to that. I want to play a clip from the radio show. We had Willis and Levis on the radio show. Friday for Levis and Monday for Willis. Both of those interviews, I'm biased. I think I do good interviews, Joe, but I thought both of them were at least pretty candid in where they are right now. But I want you to hear from Will Levis, and I want the audience to as well, and see how you feel about the progress that the rookie is getting in his training camp, his first NFL training camp thus far. You enjoying yourself?
Yeah, it's been awesome. I mean, about 2 weeks into camp right now, and it's at the point where we almost got like everything in, So,
yeah.
I mean, it's a lot of just remembering all the stuff we have in and executing, and now getting into situational type stuff with the 2-minute and everything. So, I mean, it's really exciting. I've been having a lot of fun.
You have been able to do the thing that we hear coaches talk about the most. Stacking days at this point. You feel like you've put together, and I know conditions out here a little different today and seem to be, just from our vantage point, we're looking at a very far distance, I would say. So I don't want to take too much away from things that I might have seen or not seen, but it seems like you have been able to stack some days consecutively here, and it seems like you're getting some good opportunities.
Yeah, that's the only way to get more opportunities. It's the only way to, stand out, is just to day after day come in and continue to do your job. Today is one of the days where I feel like it wasn't up to my standard, regardless of where what the conditions were, But I mean, I feel like I've had a really good week, and having those days in a row, stringing those days in a row, gives me confidence too as well. So I mean, just got to come in every day, clean slate, forgetting how the day previously went, but it's really important.
Him trying to stack those days, obviously he's not been the second string quarterback at practice. For those of you who aren't aware, he was taking some second string reps, and since then it's been Malik. I fully anticipate Malik to start on Saturday, Joe, and whether he starts the entirety of the game or not, I don't think that's necessarily much to worry about. I assume both of these quarterbacks are going to get a fair amount of reps in this game against Chicago. But like for Levis, you and I talked about him trying to layer things and him consistently making those throws short or not putting enough zip on it when he's trying to, just kind of feeling those things out. I'd say for the most part, though, he hasn't done enough for me to kind of separate him from Malik Willis.
No, I would agree. I don't think he's separated beyond him. I mean, I do think that he has gained, like from the beginning of camp, and there was one day in particular where he sailed like maybe 3 or 4 passes, and it's like, man, he just doesn't look like he has a confidence, and the footwork is jacked up, and what's going on. And I mean, if you start there, and Willis has had his ups and downs too, but if you start there, I think there was definitely Willis was ahead of him. I don't think there's much question of that. And I'd say right now it's getting closer. Today, which might have been Tannehill's worst day, but today,
he was
Levis,
not good today. And I know there was rain, but like from our vantage point on the terrace, like there were passes that were wobbling. I don't know if he had some affected at the line of scrimmage that from my vantage point, I couldn't see, but it was an objectively bad Tannehill day.
Yeah. And so Levis had a really bad pick in red zone, just underthrew a fade, and it was just it was a layup. And I forget who picked it off. But it was kind of was it? Is that right? I thought McCreary got Tannehill. Either way.
Oh, I'm sorry, McCreary did get Tannehill. You're right.
Yeah, it was a reserve who got Levis, but he came back out and hurry up, and he went boom, boom, boom. 3 really good, sharp balls out, fast passes. Racing McMath actually made a fantastic catch on the sideline. I was like, oh, there's Racing McMath. And then, he takes a sack in the red zone, but kind of an example of the ups and downs of him. I think Levis, the ball is coming out fast, and I think the decisions are fast, and that's getting better. And I think he has worked on the touch, and I think in some of the red zone periods, Buck, he's been really good. And Malik Willis has probably made more throws where you're like, oh, than the Levis. But there's still with Malik, there's still at times the first 3 take him pat, pat, pat. And it's like, you got to be able to go snap, snap, and go. Get it out.
In the red zone in particular the other day on Tuesday, I think that was.
Yeah. But so I think it's very close. And I think it's I'm personally – I think that speaks to Willis's improvement, and I think it speaks to Levis still has a long way to go. If I'm a Titans fan, I would not be like discouraged about where Will Levis is, but I think that these games are going to be really important. It's still different, and Malik Willis was talking about this today. It's still different when it's like, okay, here you're playing the game of football. Yeah, it's not game plan and all that stuff. It's not a real game, but other team can tackle you. Guys are being tackled to the ground. People are watching. There is a different level that you just automatically have in your mind of the pressure at hand. And so I think it's going to be really fascinating and make these games okay to watch.
Billy Sullivan on Facebook. You can interact Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and Twitch as we live stream the podcast today. Billy says, man, y'all making us feel bad about our offense again. Brandon Connor says, Buck is making me very nervous about our offensive line. Damn you, Buck.
Damn you, Buck.
I know. It's just, honestly, that should be the name of the show. Damn you, Buck. But I think that, my thing, Joe, regardless of who's quarterback, they go as the offensive line goes. And like Tannehill, obviously, the reason they completely fell off a cliff last year is because Tannehill got hurt. There's no disputing that. And Malik in a much different place then than he is now. And we'll see. We may never see what Malik looks like in live action reps again for this team, depending on how this offseason goes. But, I think my thing is just offensively, they go as the offensive line goes. If the offensive line is even slightly below average to average, like I feel like this is a collection of skill position players and a quarterback that can absolutely be trusted, and a play caller that I think has got something to him that's going to at least get more creative in how they scheme, rather than when everything else falls to shit, hand the ball off to Derrick Henry for, -1 on first down and 2 on second down, and then you're sacked on third down, because that was the Todd Downing experience. It felt like they just weren't creative enough to find. And listen, we know the personnel deficiencies, but you can still find ways to scheme as a play caller. And that honestly was the biggest indictment of Todd Downing to me.
No, I agree. I think it will be some level of upgrade. Don't know what level, but I think this offense is going to look different. And I like a lot of what I see in practice in terms of what they're going to be doing. I like the skill group. I like, Chig in year 2, Traylon Burks in year 2. Hopkins looks good. Hopkins back at practice today, missed a day. I thought he was missing another day. I'm like, okay, so is he a little nicked up? Or is this the DeAndre has to go? Yeah, and he rolls in. I'm like, what does he think? He's on mountain time? Like, what's happening today? But he got out there, took some reps, and he looks good. When he was not there, and really it's kind of the last 2 open practices, not there at all, and then barely there today. It's a difference. Like Tannehill already, I think, has him as an outlet, where it's like, you know what, I know that I can get 6 right here, and they're coming after me. I think the skill, I like Spears. I've debated with Kaharski a little bit. He thinks maybe we're overrating like how involved Spears will be, but I mean, I think that he is going to make some difference for this team. So I'm with you. Just be okay, be average, be decent, Then I think the rest of this team. And if you're making field goals at a high clip, by the way, which is going to be, that could be 3 or 4 games. That could be 3 or 4 results on the season. Then I think this team is right there to win the AFC South.
We are hanging out here with Joe Rexwood. If you're just now joining us on the 615 Sessions podcast, we're going to hear from Malik Willis here in just a second. Quick reminder that the podcast is made possible by Relax the Back. Their office in Green Hills is the place that you need to go if you experience back issues, if you are somebody who needs to be more active at work, if you work from home. A standing desk is what my setup is currently propped up on. RelaxTheBack.com is where you go. # We've Got Your Back Nashville for all your back needs. So Malik Willis on the radio show on Monday, Rex, and I didn't catch up with him after practice. I had fired today while you guys were grabbing dudes off the field. But I thought Malik, and I don't know what your experience with him has been like thus far through camp, but I think that we're getting the most honest version of that dude, the most confident version of that dude. And I think you could say the same of a lot of those guys. But this was Malik Willis on the radio show on Monday. Like, was there a certain point in time that in particular clicked for you in your rookie season, that you kind of understood where they were going with the messaging on that?
I understood the whole time, but as I was saying, I mean, I came from an offense where we weren't as much under the center. We weren't as much in the huddle, having 10-word plays. We weren't doing that. So I had to get used to doing that. I had to learn to speak that language. I had to take just every aspect of the NFL game and try to apply it to my game. And didn't have enough time to do it successfully last year. But I'm not going to blame it on that. Just got to work harder, and that's what I did this offseason. So.
Well, it's a whole new season, and that's the beauty of it. Obviously you take lessons from those reps and things like that, as anybody does. But at this point, it feels like a fresh slate for everybody who's coming in, who might have had their rookie season, like Kyle and Traylon, derailed for injury, or all the different injury situations that you guys had to work through, and different circumstances that you felt like your class was particularly thrust into, maybe before you might have been ready. But I mean, the value of those live game reps, there's really no other way to simulate. I know preseason is as close as you can get, but like, to have those starts under your belt at this point, everything else has to feel like just a lot smoother from this point on, yeah?
Yeah, it's almost no more surprises. You know, been in late games, been in games we're winning overtime, seen games from the sideline with Ryan. We go up big, we go down big, try to how to bounce back. Just all those different scenarios and situations, and more than anything, that situational football. I think that's the most important thing that we needed to work on, well, myself, outside of just first and second down ball, third downs, and situational football, because that's what the difference is in this league, third downs and situational football, those critical situations, those one plays that change the game's outcome. Yeah.
Titans quarterback Malik Willis. So that's Malik talking about where he is and how much, I mean, the idea that there's almost no more surprises, like I'm sure Malik Willis would see some things that might surprise him if he went against a Bill Belichick defense or something like that. But, the fact that he thinks that way, that he's carrying himself that way, I don't think that's anything but good.
Yeah, for sure. And, hey, he brings up he reminds people a lot of the Liberty offense, but I'm sorry. I mean, that's good on Hugh Freeze for having a scheme that is incredibly easy for quarterbacks, that's still effective, that can win for you in college football. But I mean, that's what it is. It's like people are still wondering about quarterbacks coming out of like the Bryles, the Heupel offense, And to me, like the Freeze offense is even like a lot more simple for quarterbacks. So, he shouldn't have played last year. He did. And to his credit, he's worked hard. And you have to imagine that so many things that were confounding a year ago are now kind of basic. And like you said, Buck, you can still be in year 5, year 8 in this league as a quarterback and get some coverages that mess you up and you get baited into something and here comes the robber or whatever. But like the basics, being able to go out there and run a full offensive game plan in a given week, I think that's there for him now. And that's a big difference from last year.
Do you want to talk about Botox or do you want to end the podcast?
I mean, I got my shot in on you already. I just want to say.
Well, Vrabel got me today. You weren't over there. Vrabel
Goody.
got me today. Apparently, his son narked on me. His son Carter narked on me that I'd been getting Botox, or that I got my first Botox injections a week ago today.
How does Carter know? Did he get it with you?
No, Carter follows me on Instagram.
Oh, so you were talking about this on the gram.
No, the reason that people found, okay, so long story short, we're going to do this. I got Botox. I don't think you can literally tell every time I try to raise my eyebrows. I look phenomenal on camera today, though.
Unbelievable.
I will say. My girlfriend, her sister, she's a triplet. Sister's an injector. They had their 1-year anniversary at their esthetician shop. She was working on one of girlfriend's coworkers. Sister said, "You want to get in the chair? You look like you could use it every time you make a face on your live stream. You look like a hound dog because of the way that, I guess this profession has aged me and my eyes are drooping and everything else is drooping." So I said, "Sure, shoot me up, baby. Let's go." And, big fan. Shout out Canvas Skin. They did a great job. I think I look great. Rexroad thinks that it's something to be made fun of. And I told him that if the sample size is you, if that's how I'm going to age, then I'd much rather look like this.
Hey, man, I'm embracing this sweet smell of death as it rapidly approaches, okay? First of all, what did Vrabel say? Because I'm excited that he gave you some shit for this. What did he say?
He said, "Carter told me to give you some shit about what you did to your face." I go, "Can you tell?" He said, "No." I said, "Great."
I was hoping to hear more creativity than that.
Well,
look, all I know is
typically he is more creative than that, but those are also things that probably should not be disclosed on a live streaming professional broadcast at this point.
Fair point. So I'm 50. My wife is 46. Quite a fair amount of my wife's friends have gotten Botox, and she has talked about it. I'm just like, let's just embrace being old. But at some point, maybe she will, and it's not my decision. I kind of give her a little crap about it, But when I heard that, what are you, 30?
30.
30-year-old man got Botox. I cannot wrap my head around it. I can't do it, man. And I'll be the boomer yelling at the cloud. But I don't think you look younger. You just look plastic. You talk about my Lego hair. You have Lego face now.
That's the point. I want to look. I would rather look 30 forever. I would rather have the Lego face than the Lego hair. Although the hair is getting a little more Lego as the days go by. I was going to say,
actually, that looks amazingly Lego right now.
Well, it's very much like my face. It's very much stuck into place in a certain way. I think Barbie Buck says Billy Sullivan. That's correct. That's fine. Like it's like people that take like protein powder and creatine. Like, okay, you want bigger muscles. I want my face to look smooth. I'd rather that than looking like some roid raged up, whatever the hell. So I think at this stage, I'm fine with the Botox. I'm going back in a couple of weeks. I'm probably going to get more Botox. And if I lie down within the 4-hour period that they tell me not to lie flat on my back, and I come back looking like, it's not Chunk from the Goonies. What's the creature?
Oh, yeah. Dude, I don't know.
I don't remember. But the
funny reference, though.
If I come back looking like that, then we can make content out of it, and it's all good.
So is there so it makes it shocks your nerves and your face is frozen. Is there actually a benefit? Because the things you're talking about with the bodybuilders, there's still like benefits to protein and things like that, right?
Sloth. Thank you, Brian Malone, for coming on the clutch.
Oh, well done. Like, yes. Is there a benefit to Botox? Like, does it actually do anything good for you?
Oh, sure. Like I get migraines. This helps get rid of my migraines. I grind my teeth. If I wanted to get it in my jaw, it would help me with my teeth grinding habit. Like there are benefits to Botox, but I'm not taking advantage of the Botox for any of the medical benefits. I just want my face to freeze. Like I'm doing it for purely self-involved and superficial purposes, not for any of the actual medical applications of this. Not happening.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, Botox and bottle service buck.
That's right.
My goodness.
Hey, listen, if nothing else, it's on brand. Joe Rexrode, always
Fancy.
on brand. 6 to 9 on 102.5 The Game every Monday through Friday. You can hear him there. You can also read his work on The Athletic. Jaime says, Joan Rivers on A to Z. No, this isn't Joan Rivers Botox. This is Tom Brady Botox, baby. If it's good enough for Tommy, it's good enough for me. Rexrode, what could people be looking for on theathletic.com?
Well, I just posted things that we've learned, things that I think we know about the Titans heading into camp. Well, yeah, again, with the central theme, what we just talked about, which is this team is going to be as good as this offensive line allows it to be. There's a lot to like, and there's one thing to not like right now. So, and then, I'll be, like you said, I'll be with you in Chicago, so coverage from there.
Coverage from Chicago, and certainly plenty of reaction with the next time we join you on the